My job as a Disneyland tour guide was supposed to be another cheerful day, but when two nurses arrived with two silent girls, one in a wheelchair, the other dazed, I froze. They'd lost both parents in a car crash. I knelt beside them, offering my hand and no smile. No words, just hollow eyes. I took the assignment anyway. My voice cracked when I said, "Let's find some magic today." As they rolled into the park, I stepped aside, wiping away tears. Grief was our real guest. We passed Sleeping Beauty's castle, churros in hand. But they didn't bite. Lily, the younger one, wouldn't even meet my eyes. Sienna, the older girl, whispered only once, "Mommy liked roses." That stopped me cold. I noted the rose garden on our map. I tried goofy voices and fun facts, but nothing pierced their silence. Behind the smiles, I was unraveling. My supervisor watched from afar. I waved, pretending everything was fine, but inside I ached. They weren't just visitors, they were carrying something heavier than I knew. I took them to It's a Small World, hoping the music might stir something. But Lily stared straight ahead. Sienna held her hand tight. I offered stickers, stories, nothing broke through. A performer dressed as Belle walked by, waving. They didn't blink. I pulled out my emergency trick, a backstage meet with Mickey. Still no reaction. My heart sank. They were here, but locked inside themselves. I needed a miracle, not a mascot. Backstage, Icky waited. Madison, the performer, nodded solemnly. As we entered, Mickey dropped to one knee and opened his arms. Lily flinched. Sienna pulled back. My throat tightened. Madison reached into Mickey's pouch and handed Lily a small silk rose. For a moment, she stared, then hugged it to her chest. Sienna gasped. It was the first sound she's made all day. I bit my lip. Something had cracked finally. At lunch, I sat beside them quietly. Lily clutched the silk rose, tracing its petals. "It's soft like Mommy's hands," she said. Sienna nodded slowly. I barely breathed. A family at the next table stared, whispering, but I ignored them. The girls weren't healed, but they weren't frozen anymore. That rose, a prop from a costume pouch, had become sacred. I looked at Madison as she gave me a wink, then disappeared into the crowd. Later, during the parade, Mickey pointed at our trio. Lily lit up. Sienna waved, clutching the rose like armor. The crowd cheered, but it felt like the world had narrowed to just us. Then came the twist. Sienna turned to me and whispered, "Will you be our tour guide tomorrow too?" I nodded, blinking back tears. That wasn't a request. It was trust reborn. The real magic had finally shown up. The next morning, they were waiting by the gates, matching mouse ears, smiles faint but real. We walked hand in hand toward Adventuralden. At the rose garden, Sienna paused, placed the silk rose among real ones, and whispered, "Bye, Mommy." I stepped back, letting them lead. This wasn't my moment, it was theirs. Healing, quiet and sacred. Backstage, Addison took off her Mickey head, tears smudging her makeup. "I'll never forget them," she said. Neither would I that night. I walked home under fireworks, holding back tears. Tomorrow they'd move on, but for 2 days they laughed. At Silk Rose I kept the second one, not for magic, just to remember what Lover built.